Hello. Life is a community affair. Stay tuned for more. Hello, and welcome back to ProLife Praise. In this particular episode, we're discussing why life is a community affair. Now, we have talked from the very beginning of our first show about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we have talked about why it's important to value life from the womb to the tomb. Today, we've got a community leader coming up, Mr. Joseph King. I call him Joe King, and he's from Florida. He is a man of God, a man of the community, and he works together with so many different people and organizations within his parish, within his church. And we have had many conversations about why life in the community and the value and sanctity of life are so important. Joe and I met, of course, many years ago, and we've done quite a few things together with a particular group. And Joe is one of the founders of Black Americans for Life. And it's a very powerful group, and it's a relatively new group, but networking with many other groups, including the National Black ProLife Coalition and Civil Rights for the Unborn. So I want to bring Joe on first to just say hello and let you meet him and find out the types of things he's doing, not only in his local community, but across the communities of America. Welcome, Joe. How are you today?
I am very blessed. How are you doing, cuz?
I'm good, cuz it's so good to talk to you. Yeah, it's a family affair.
It
Absolutely.
sure is.
Yeah. But listen, Joe, honestly, people don't know you. Some of our viewers have not met you. And I'm glad to have you on the show. In a few minutes, we're going to talk even more directly about some of the work we're doing with these various organizations. But tell us, how are you involved in your own community? You're a father and a grandfather as well, aren't you?
Yes,
So family
definitely.
man, I forgot to mention that. Church man, family man, community man. Tell us a
Right.
little bit about you and your life.
Okay, some of the things that I'm involved in is I volunteer as a mentor with the Archdiocese Respect Life offices. We have 5 of them, and we have something called Project Joseph, not named after me, but it's to mentor dads. And I've been doing that for, oh, wow, I think it's approaching 10 years now. But I also pray in front of abortion facilities, and I'm involved in a number of other, there's something called Flourish, and very often there's a pro-life theme with it. Recently, I've gotten involved with Terry Beatley and some of what she has to say, talking about Bernard Nathanson. So I'm trying to get people to listen to what he has to say, or what he said through her. So, but those are a couple of highlights. Not to mention the brothers in Christ there at church, and I used to be involved with the Shalom Ministry, which is trying to bring people to Christ. So there are other things, but that's just some highlights.
Well, now let me ask you this question. I know you run into it, especially within the church community. Well, Joe, I know all of these things that you're telling me about life and good education for our children and all of that, but we shouldn't discuss politics and religion at church. So what answer do you give people when they tell you you shouldn't be talking about politics and religion at church?
Well, see, the thing is when it comes to life, that's not politics. That's morality, and I it became political, not because of us that are for life, is the politicians have made it an issue. So my thing is that, I mean, how can we hold in our moral views? And when it comes to the Catholic Church, officially what they do teach is pro-life. And so that's the way that I tend to handle, even though it doesn't always work, but that's the way I
But you have
approach
to
it.
bring it that way. Now, our
Yeah,
cousin, Loretta Cujo Greer Smith, for example,
right.
and you and she and I have had all these types of conversations as well. So what we have to do and what we say is that, as Joe has just explained, with morality should not be political. That should not be a political issue. It should not be a political question. And so people want to bring it into those kinds of things, probably because they would rather avoid the conversation. And so if we say something like, oh, separation of church and state, well, actually, there's nothing in the law that ever intended to separate God from the government or church from state, but rather to protect us so that we can worship freely in this nation. And I know that that is another part of the conversation that we've had a lot of times. Now, you are what we call a Black Catholic. And you know, I don't like to divide people in groups by skin color, period, at all, because we're one race, one human race, and that's the critical race, the human race.
Yes.
However, there are strong African American leaders, and there have been throughout the church. Loretta told me one, Father, oh, I can't remember, but can you give us a little bit of the history of Catholics, African American Catholics, or in the, you know, African Americans in the Catholic faith? Give us
Yeah,
a little information about that, please.
she's probably talking about Father Augustine. He is, one of a leader that's in the Catholic Church from the early days.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually have well, we do. How would you put her? She was like a cousin, and she was a nun that's related to us, who ended up dying in Rome. And oh Lord, now to remember her name, it's just I
That's
could see
okay.
her picture. It's just
That's
the
okay.
awesome story. But we come. Our family comes out of Savannah, Georgia, and so there was a fairly sizable, coming from the island of now Haiti, Dominican Republic, a sizable number of Black Catholics, and that's where our Catholicism comes from. Is from there, and it's a deep and rich history that we have through that route.
Okay. So what does it mean to be a Black Catholic in America today? What does that look like today?
That's we are a minority and a minority within a minority,
Oh,
especially
boy.
especially somebody that's kind of very pro-life. You would label me as conservative and stuff like that. So Black is a minority, and Catholic in the South. It's just so. I I know I would deal with growing up in the South when most everybody else is not Catholic, and I would like, well, if you think about it, most Black folks became whatever their masters were. So that's
Yes,
why you see in Louisiana a lot of Black Catholics.
that's
You see,
true.
so it's really depended on who the master was, if you will, and for whatever reason, well, for us, like I said, we came from the island of Hispaniola, French speaking people. And so that Catholicism came to Savannah, Georgia, on down through his name is Joseph King, my grandfather, and then to my dad, to me.
Well, you know, that's why I really wanted you on the show today. A lot of people may not even know that there are Black Catholics, and as Joe says, a minority within a minority, but there are really quite a few, and there's some Black Catholic organizations. I've
Yes,
been, when I travel to Rome, for example, and different places around the world, I do meet Black priests and nuns a lot, quite a bit. So I just thought it would be very important for your voice to be heard and people to start thinking about and praying about the
right,
full Catholic community who fights for life all of the time, and especially also the African American pro-life leaders and groups. Now, somebody I'm feeling this, watching this, well, I'm not a leader, so what can I do about it? Well, you can visit civilrightsfortheunborn.org and look up Black Catholics for life there, and there's a video. I think there's even actually a website for Black Catholics for Life. So if you want to know more about it, please connect and get busy and get involved. And if you're in your community, and you are, especially if you're a Black Catholic, not limited to, but get busy and reach out and get information on what's happening. Because, life really is, Joe, a community affair, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It really is. And
Yeah.
and then especially in the Black community too. uh, Like I said, I pray, and unfortunately, the entire time I've been praying in front of a abortion facility, I have seen maybe 4 Caucasian women come in. Every one of them was brought by a brother. All the rest were minorities.
Wow.
All
Wow.
of the rest.
Wow. Wow. Well, this is an important fact, and we know, and we are informing and educating and activating community that abortion in America targets African American mothers to abort their babies. And that is a high number in these United States. And we are sounding the alarm for that reason. Joe, I'm going to shift gears just for a second. Released a new song this summer, Your Way, Yahweh, and I'm singing that with Kathy Lee Gifford. And so we're going to play a little introduction to that. And people, you can find that out on YouTube now. It's playing on YouTube and it's streaming on popular music channels. So I think that Joe and I would definitely agree that if we don't let God have God's way, we're in trouble anyway.
Amen.
Let's
Amen.
watch the video. I have a philosophy, overcome evil with good. That's in the Bible. Don't be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. So I began to get to know God more, Yahweh. Let me do this your way, Yahweh. And that began to form as a song. So I met Ian and Barry. To my surprise, Kathy Lee Gifford came in on the project, and we began to worship the Lord.
In all the earth, there's none beside you. Open our eyes and let us see.
So it just shows us that we as people can come together. Now we just have to really learn how to say, your way, Yahweh. Are we going to stop doing it our way and start doing it God's way? My name is Alveda King. I'm inviting you to join in the worship experience, Your Way, Yahweh. All right, so you can watch that on YouTube and wherever music is streaming. Joe, I'm putting up this cartoon right now with the heroes of the Black Pro-Life, Black Catholics for Life and the National Black Pro-Life Coalition. Now, you work very closely as the founders of that group with you, YG Nightstorm, and Dr. Loretto Kubjo Greer-Smith. And the National Black Pro-Life Coalition, that's the core founders of that group. And we work together through Priests for Life, informing, educating, and activating the populations about the harmful impact of abortion. So what's it like working now as a group leader to get this message out, Joe?
It's still very much of a slog. People are like, they don't.
Do I have to hear this? Yeah.
Yes, it's amazing. And it's almost like, because we're talking about something that is dealing with their souls, and but they don't hear that yet. We've got a really tough road to hoe, but that's why I stay in prayer a lot. Because this is not against a political party or people or left or right or anything. We've got an evil that we're facing that's very strong right now, and so we need the gifts of the Spirit to help us with that. So it's not easy.
And that's why we're doing the show today. We want people to know how hard you're working. You do have others joining you now. I'm glad that that is happening. I want to invite folks to go over to our bookstore. You can get some of my books there. We're Not Colorblind, King Rules, for example. We're at ProLifeProducts.org. And so that's one place that you can get some more materials. You can go to civilrightsfortheunborn.org and find out more about the National Black Catholics for Life. So that group there It's very active, and if you'd be interested in joining, just shoot us an email over to Civil Rights for the Unborn. And you can also follow on social media. Facebook, you can get Civil Rights for the Unborn official. On Twitter, Alveda King. On Instagram, Civil Rights for the Unborn. And so this is some of the places that you can find us on social media as well. Joe, I want to take another little moment to talk before we begin to wrap up the show. You've seen that movie Roe v. Wade. What do you think about it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you learn a lot about, I don't know, do I want to give away anything?
No, it's okay. No, it's out there. That's good.
Okay.
You can do it. Yeah.
You learn a lot about how the justices were compromised, you know. And another thing that struck me is Dr. Mildred Jefferson. We don't know anything about her. This is a Black woman who should be one of the folks that when we have Black History Month, I mean, the first woman to graduate from Harvard, Black woman from Harvard Medical School. She was the first surgeon was a Boston General, female, period.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't know stuff like this. She finished college at some very young age. It's just a fabulous story.
It is.
And of course, you played a role with that one. being
Actually,
her
I'm
mama.
in the film. Yeah, I'm in the film. I'm an executive producer. We won some awards. But now it's about time for us to wrap up. And I want folks to see that movie. That's important. We're going to show a music video, song Pray for America, that's executive produced by me and my executive assistant, Eugene Vigil. Pray for America. But you will see Catherine Davis and some of the others. We are marching Black Leaders in Action for Life. So this is a community affair, marching with the community, worshiping with the community. Joe is a leader in the community. Let's take it away and watch Pray for America.
We will hear arguments in Roe against Wade. You may proceed.
If you really want to know how abortion became legal in our country, I will tell you the true story.
Dr. Mildred Jefferson, would you like to head up a Right to Life group that I'm starting?
Dr. Bernard Nathanson's clinics are performing 1,000 abortions per week. That's why I'm taking up the fight.
I wanted to get abortion legalized across the country.
We're looking for a pregnant girl to challenge the abortion laws.
We'll give her a pseudonym. Call her Jane Roe.
It's genius that we no one will ever know about her past.
First, they came after the Jews, and then they came after the mentally deficient. We did nothing. And now they're coming after the unborn. And so you're gonna do nothing?
Robert Byrd for Henry Wade.
No judge or jury in their right mind would ever let abortion happen in Texas.
You've been watching too much TV. This case has nothing to do with women's rights.
It's God's duty to forgive. It's ours to rule the law. You're changing your vote because your family found out. Or was it the media?
If we don't sort this out, fur will fly today.
You are trying to control this war, nobody. That is completely unethical.
In the matter of Roe v. Wade, I want the case re-argued.
Faith in God, respect for his law.
That law being?
Human law.
We got the majority.
We're gonna win.
Perhaps this is beyond the authority of the Supreme Court.
We are the law of the land.
These girls should not be put through the pregnancy and should be entitled to an abortion.
God, forgive me, what have I done?
The true silent minority. Who is speaking for these children?
If my people could understand that we live in a world that's in need of a change, then my people could lift up their hands, 'cause we live in a world that just needs us to pray. People are trying to change the world. What about changing our mind? It's
right, everybody, we need to keep praying for America. Joe, I'd like to give you the last word. Thank you for joining us on the show. Will you close us out with some more inspirational information?
Sure. I am now a pro-life warrior, if you will, especially when I found out that when you talk about systemic racism, there is nothing where racism is more systemic than in the pro-death movement. The Maafa 21, when I saw that video, I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? So it really, it grabbed my heart. And just learning about the pro-death movement in general, it's just stuff you just don't know. I mean, I always called myself pro-life throughout my life, but it's like I wouldn't take a woman to get an abortion. But if I'm not gonna stop anyone else, was kind of my feeling. And I didn't realize that's basically pro-choice. To be pro-life, you have to be pro-life, and that means talking to people. That means standing in front of an abortion facility in prayer. We're peaceful. We just pray down here. We don't attack anyone. So it's been awesome.
It's awesome, Joe. You're awesome. You're a leader. Everybody can be a leader in his or her own community because life is a community affair. If you want to know more about the National Black Pro-Life Leaders for Life, get over to civilrightsfortheunborn.org. We look forward to seeing you at our next show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Amen.